They really, really do well. So the cost of their stock and their results that they report every quarter is always positive. And so they're doing something right. And that's not something that every social network can say. Now the weird thing is that their user experience kind of sucks. And, the ability to go in and figure out like where things are at and where to click and what to do is not as easy as I think other networks. So they've still got a lot of work to do, but they just bought Lynda. They have like 9 different awesome apps. They have a sales navigator app, like things that are actually useful to businesses that Facebook doesn't have. So I'm kind of silently hoping that, maybe not so silently now that I just said it out loud, hoping that LinkedIn is going to be like, the next runner up, if not like the business network that we all want it to be, that it's not just yet, if that makes sense.
Well, in all fairness, where giving credit where credit's due, they were the first players on the block. So I think they will continue to maintain the B2B space. I think they may even replace the good old resume and how job search is done and how people actually connect. Somebody just sent me a tweet and said, you're not recording this, right? And I'm like, yes, I am. I went through all that. I'm totally recording. I look over, it says, do you want to resume recording? So I don't know what happened there, but so if you're listening to this podcast a few weeks from now and we went from one subject right into another one without a pause, that's because we're pushing the wrong buttons over here. So, yeah, we're learning as we go here. But Blab's still in beta. We don't treat it like beta because it's so functional. But
it's functionally unfunctional.
Yeah. Mitch Jackson said he's studying your book while he's asking you questions. I'm like, I didn't study. I don't know how to read, Mitch. Let's see here. You got an invitation to connect from LinkedIn today from Walter White, owner of a meth lab. Made my morning. Hilarious. Walter White from Breaking Bad. So
you gotta accept that.
Yeah, you definitely got to accept that. That guy's in the right. That guy's in business right there, New Mexico. Let's open the seat up here. Does anybody have any questions? Just be careful when you tell a little bird, Sebastian. That's where you could get hit with the wrong button. I think that's what happened, Robert. I think I did tell a little bird, and then I told, it used to be tell my aunt. Now it's tell your friends. And then when I came back over here, there's a lot going on. That's the downside, Brian, to this platform is that there's so much going on, right? So right. You want to talk and communicate and share and pause and record and start and stop and grab some water and take a picture and Snapchat. Like it feeds the ADD great, but gets a little crazy. So it's almost 2016 now. Large brands started to get on board a couple of years ago. I believe smaller brands started to, or continued to rather, follow suit with all of that. I guess for the past 5 years, my message has been, can stay in business and not have a social media strategy? Yes, for now. But I said that a few years ago. I don't know that that's so relevant this day and age. Can a new brand, business, local business, small business thrive without a social media strategy behind it?
Yes, but can a business thrive without the people being on social is the question. Because the people inside of a company, when you don't see people inside of a company being social, that's when your light bulb goes on and you start thinking, is this a real? If a brand has just a Twitter account and no one else is tweeting, there's something wrong with that. So, I think we start to trust personal brands now more than ever. So it can work that way. But don't you think, Sebastian, that you got to have their people on there as well? It's got to be the employees actually doing some advocacy.
I think so too. I mean, I think it's really all the above. It's the matter of the brand having a voice. I always say that social media that is utilized internally will more effectively communicate the brand message externally, because not only do they see the story of the brand, but they see the advocates, employees, people that are part of the brand talking about it, embracing and talking about their experience. Now, I think a reason that a majority of brands don't do that is because there's not a team of employees that are extremely stoked to be working for the brand. It's just a job and it's a paycheck. And not every company is a Zappos or Facebook where it's really fun and cool place to work. So I guess that goes back to culture change, huh?
Well, that's where it starts, man. If your people are excited to share, I guarantee you that there's something more going on with your business.
Sure.
What up,
Mitch
guys?
Jackson, Robert Stern. What's happening, gentlemen?
Hey, how you doing?
Another day in paradise. Brian, I hope you feel better, my friend. I was inviting you just to watch the sunset this morning.
Oh, thanks, man.
Low key, it always makes everyone feel better. And Sebastian, it's good to see you. Hi, Robert. What's interesting is I actually think, as much as I love social, as much as I embrace social, and just love it. I mean, I love what you guys are doing. Love, Brian, love your books. I think I could run a small law firm without ever being on social media. And I hate saying that because I firmly I've spoken in front of large audiences and said, if you're not on social, if you're not building a digital footprint, you may not have a firm to go to in 5 years. And I think that's the general consensus. I mean, it's really important to have a digital footprint. Having said all that, it comes down to people skills. I mean, I could build a firm here in Orange County, California, and never be online and go out and shake hands and smile and hug the right people, service my clients. And I think I could probably do just fine. But here's the thing. It wouldn't be as much fun. I mean, there's something about making connections. It's the H to H. There's something about watching a sunrise together and having things happen after that, connections forming even more so, relationships, bonding with people on the other side of the pond. Alex Pettit and I have DM'd each other more since that sunset this morning than in the last 3 months. And it's just an interesting phenomenon. I think it's just a lot more fun to incorporate social into business. I mean, that's part of it, right? If we're not enjoying ourselves, if we're not that fisherman, and Brian, that when I read that story in Tim Ferriss's book, I mean, the light bulb went on. I'm like, oh my God, right?
Isn't that great?
And you shared it very well. And so if we're not enjoying those life moments each and every day, and I think social helps you do it, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think just one thing that I would say though is that there are a lot of ways that we can help our clients. Now you're in law or legal area, and there's some things there where you're looking at it differently, where you're obviously your clients are not going to be tweeting their live tweeting from the courtroom their divorce or whatever the thing. So you got to be appropriate within.
That'd be awesome.
Be entertaining.
It'd be a great reality show, wouldn't it?
Maybe we should do it. That would be a lot of fun.
I think it.
Yeah, just so
hashtag divorce buzz.
So I think that it's very specific to different industries and how you use social. So we got to be, and the other thing is that no matter what, we can all influence each other. So influence is big, and how we influence. I can influence. So here's the thing. Actually, Mitch, I thought about you 2 weeks ago. I was in New York, or 3 weeks ago, and I met somebody who was looking for a job, and they wanted to get a job, right? So I was a really good friend, actually, of an employee of mine, husband of an employee of mine, and I was going to tweet you and say, hey, you two should hook up and meet each other. Well, first of all, I only know you through social. And second of all, if I tweeted you, I think you would have probably responded and said, yeah, let me know how I can help, because that's who you are. And that's social right there. That is business being done on social. So, there are so many different flavors, I guess is my point, of how business can operate without us equating it to a monetary value. And that's where we all go wrong. We try to monetize it, and it's, not always. You can't monetize PR. You've never been able to monetize PR for years. Why can you monetize a relationship? Can't do it.
As soon as you start monetizing relationships, I think you're going about things the wrong way, both offline and online. I think what I was just trying to say is, look, I'm all in. I love this, and this is what, you've got to be on digital, you got to be on social. But to a comment that was said earlier, yeah, I could probably pull this off without having an online presence. It's just that this allows me to expand that influence even more so, engage people more so, and really engage people more often. So rather than me flying to New York to meet your friend, we can engage online in a private live stream channel. And before I pop off, you guys, Bryan, the Shareology approach in your book, adding live streaming, adding mobile live streaming now into the picture.
Yeah.
How does that affect things? Do you see that just as exponentially, increasing the ability to share, to build relationships? I mean, where do you see this mobile live streaming going? And that's for all of you. I'm just curious. I'm going to pop back off because I am working, but I just wanted to say hi.
Where are you at in Orange County, Mitch?
We're down in South Orange County, just next to Irvine, where the Irvine Spectrum is, where the 5 and the 5.
Okay, so, good. No, I was in Newport Beach for 8 years. I moved back to Miami in 2008, but I'm out there often. So
that explains a lot.
I'll be out there in February, so I'll be sure to link up with you.
I try to avoid Zooport whenever I can. It's a little too crazy for me.
Yeah,
with a Z. Yes,
I'm too old for that peninsula. Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
I'll let you answer that real quick, and then we'll let Mr. Stern chime in here for a few minutes.
So video. When I wrote the Shareology book, it wasn't Blab wasn't even a thing. Facebook video was not even a thing. Vines were, but they weren't. Video streaming wasn't a all-encompassing thing, if you will. Now, we were all predicting that video would be a thing in 2015, and I said it last December in my predictions that I do every year when I blog, and I did think that video would be a thing, but I don't think any of us saw live streaming as the video prediction. I think we all saw, video, like YouTube video, being the hot thing. So now all of a sudden enters this new this new way to communicate, and it's been great. My only challenge with this is that we're all on Blab because we love Blab, and we're all blabbers, or we're all on, pick your streaming, Periscope or Meerkat or whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. We're all Meerkatters, we're all Periscopers, we're all blabbers. But, it's great, and this is going to last for a while until all of a sudden we need to get a new audience, because talking to each other is fantastic, but we need to teach other people to start using this. So the question becomes, how do we grow these circles? How do we get other people onto these platforms to where we're going to have new conversations? And it's not, those conversations aren't about Blab. They're about actual solving. They're about solving problems, real business problems, and that's what I see as being like the next evolution, is growing this platform out. And I think it's going to be a big challenge, but also something that's going to be worthwhile in the end. So
this stuff just came out of nowhere, like nowhere. Like, whoa! Oh, hello there! Live streaming platforms with social components that are going to make our lives easier. So, what's up there, Robert C. Stern?
Not much, Sebastian. It's good to see you, Bryan. It's always good to see you. Quick question, because I'm just curious in your version of this. 2015 obviously became the year of live streaming. I don't even. I lost count how many different live streaming apps have come out at this point. I think we're up to 8 or 9, and there's still more on its way. Where do you see 2016 in growth in the social side? And just in your opinion, I mean, I know it's a prediction. It's hard to figure out exactly, but this stuff came out of the blue. I don't think we thought it was going to get as big as it did, as fast as it did, or maybe you did. I don't know. But what do you see 2016 looking at?
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and there's a lot of different categories. What's that?
It's only a month and a half away.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm getting ready for my my annual post for what I think next year. So I'm not fully I haven't fully vetted it out, but I'll give you a couple things that I think. One is that I think artificial intelligence in social is going to start to become a better thing. We're going to, we want more efficiency in our lives. We all want to have better things served to us when we need it instead of having to go search for it. And we've been searching for that the whole time. It's what Google, started out as, and now we're starting to get that rich information through Facebook. And so I think Facebook now has, all of our data. They know when we sleep, when we eat, when we shop, where we go, what we do, all that kind of stuff. And I think that, the next evolution of that is giving us what we need when we need it, where we're standing. So that has to do with a lot of tying in, this rich data into, mobile analytics and serving up what we need where we need it. So artificial intelligence in that respect, not like robots actually coming out and freaking us out, is not what I'm talking about. It's more along the lines of artificial intelligence in serving us information that we could use right then and there. And then I think video will definitely evolve. This is just the beginning. So the problem is that this is kind of like in the .com when the .com went crazy. So at least Silicon Valley and almost everywhere else went crazy, right? So think about what happened. Everyone became a technology strategist. Everyone became a startup. Everyone was going to make millions of dollars. Everybody was going to produce, the next biggest thing. And then all of a sudden, the people left standing were the ones that actually really went to school. Most of them went to school to do what they actually did and actually built a billion-dollar company. So I equate that a lot to real estate agents. Real estate agents don't, I like real estate agents, don't get me wrong, but real estate agents, across the board, there's a difference between good real estate agents and not good real estate agents. And in the .com, when we had that, people were also buying houses and they're buying it for 0% down. And so that's when everything burst. So not only were the people that were starting companies became, lost their jobs. They had nothing to go on. Also, the real estate agents and the mortgage people also lost their jobs because they saw the shiny penny of actually going out and selling houses to everyone on 0 down. So the entire economy broke, right? So I have a point to all of this. And my point is that when you shake a tree, and at the end of the day, the leaves fall, the dead leaves fall, and the ones left standing are the ones that are and it's solid in the tree. So I think that the same thing is happening right now. So social was this shiny penny. We all went to it. Everyone became a social media rock star. Social media this, social media that. We kind of shiny pennied this, and I'm borrowing Sebastian's shiny penny because he likes that. And so we all went toward it. But this thing is going to shake out, and we're going to all end up in a place where there's going to be this solid thing that we can all put our hands on and say, okay, this is how we're going to. You don't just have to be a real estate agent that just signs up today because this is the .com and we can sell lots of houses for 0 down. We are going to have a solid solution because we understand the actual process and how this fits within business or within our ecosystem of some sort. So I think that there's going to be a settling next year of this where the people that actually want to really, really do this and focus on this will actually start to see how to use this for business even more so than ever before.
Well, I think not just business. Speaking from a political angle, I'm involved in politics here in New York, or even just with business, putting like links on now Facebook to Indeed, where I just put my resume out there and suddenly, people were sending me friend requests, Twitter requests, and I'm really on Twitter. So because I get kind of uneasy with the word following. To me, that's still a kind of a term that reminds me, having worked in law enforcement, of stalking. But for a political standpoint, social media has really become, I think, a more environmentally friendly way of reaching out. More people will, get the message out or speak an opinion out, get the word out, so to speak, the way a real estate agent does. A lawyer may look for business by using social media without having to worry about their palm card being thrown in the garbage. But then the tent of that is when you're followed is how it can impact you in getting a job. I mean, there are some people that went to go get a job that I know recently that an employer said, well, they saw their comment about that new Starbucks red cup argument, and they didn't like their opinion on it. It's just amazing the impact it's now having, no matter what kind of social media. I remember the days of MySpace where, that was the start of it, and it just took off and really, I don't know if it's becoming like a virus of its own, really.
Yeah, well, certainly there's levels to social that has enabled drama, and it's really kind of saddening when you see stuff like that. Where, but then again, isn't it just an amp? Sorry, I feel like I'm becoming like too much philosopher here. We're here to talk about sharing, and I just went like
story time with Uncle Bryan.
Yeah.
Everybody, grab your bankies and sit down.
Hey, Kathy, I'm going to open the seat up so somebody else can jump in. Thanks so much for jumping on. Say hello. Alrighty.
But I think that part of it is that I completely lost my train of thought when you guys did that.
Sorry. That happens to me all the time.
Oh, that my cold is getting me. I was talking about philosophizing, but I don't know where I was at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were talking about. So you're like, I'm becoming a philosopher. And what up, Chris? And you said I'm getting too philosophical here, and then I said story time with Uncle Bryan, and then that's where we stopped.
It would have been good. We would have liked it, I think.
So it'll come back to you here. So we're almost out of time here. In fact, we are, but we had a few technical difficulties earlier on. So I wanted to extend a little bit, but I also want to respect Bryan's time. So we're going to take one more question. We're going to chat for another 2 or 3 minutes. Is that okay, Bryan?
Let's do it.
All right, good deal. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Sorry I came in late. That's my bad. And my camera didn't want to work, so sorry about that.
It's all good. It happens. Hashtag Blab problems. What question do you have for Bryan?
I think that the discussion before was really great about sort of the whole personal life, professional life mix. Have you seen any of that in your line of work, or?
Who, me?
Oh, Bryan?
Right.
So restate your question for me, if you don't mind.
So the whole concept of, the whole personal life and the whole professional life are kind of coming together now. Oh. We're not seeing a separation, and employees and employers are having a difficult time with this. Have you seen that spill over in your professional life?
Oh, yeah. My personal life is one I really like. You can ask Sebastian here. He probably knows more about my son than I do. My life is very transparent, and there are certain things that I don't talk about. But I don't talk about them, a lot anyway. I won't talk about politics or religion on social media, but I rarely talk about it in person, just because I think that it's a never-ending, unsolved problem or challenge or thing. Mm-hmm. It's a personal decision, and that's just where I like to leave it. But other than that, I think, everything goes. The only thing is I just don't try to be annoying. Maybe sometimes I am, but, if you talk too much about yourself, talk too much about your job, or you talk too much about your family or something, and I think it just starts to be a little more than, what's that?
Your new baby. Well, not your new baby, but we got it. Your kid is 14 weeks old. We got it. Right. The rest of us call that 4 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
That's a different that's a different blab.
That's blab.
Yeah. So what's the difference between professional and personal? I think you're specifically asking about social media, like how do you share? So I like to share, and I wrote this in the book, in the rule of thirds, and the rule of thirds really applies. Like if you're a photographer, or you pay attention to photography, the most interesting pictures are always taken in the rule of thirds. Right. And that's because if a picture was centered every single time, you wouldn't find it that creative or that interesting. But when it's off center, the point of interest is on the left or on the right, you think the picture is a little bit more interesting. And the same thing applies to sharing in life. So when you share, in the rule of thirds, you start to share your three-dimensional self. So now go back to, if you're, and for any of you out there that are communications majors, about the peeling the onion. And peeling the onion applies to relationships. So as you're peeling the onion, you're peeling the outer layer, the thin layer, down to the thick layer in the middle, where the juicy stuff is, the good stuff, where you're really building a strong relationship with people. But it takes a while to get there. And to do that, you have to earn trust, and you have to earn rapport with people. And to do that, you have to share things that are going to be in alignment with their own beliefs or what their interests are. So I think that it's good to share all kinds of different things about yourself that helps to align with other people, so you can align those interests. And then at a certain point, it starts to become, a little bit better as you peel the onion layer down, so that you can have that maybe offline relationship. And so, share a third about yourself, share a third about your company, and then share a third about news or tips or humor or something that has nothing to do with either. If you do that evenly or consistently and evenly across the board, you'll be a much more interesting person for me to watch than somebody who shares about their, as Sebastian said, their 3-month-old or 4-month-old every single post. So,
it's 14 weeks, Brian, 14 weeks.
14 weeks. See, so that would be my answer. It's not really personal or professional. It's how do I learn more about you as a person, and what's that mix look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. I mean, I think we see that also in platforms that were typically business based, like LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn's actually becoming much more personal. People are sharing more personal stories on LinkedIn these days. And I think across the board, also in offline behavior, even at companies, people are sort of, wanting to work at companies that allow that expression of their personalities versus, always wearing the white suit tie sort of thing. So we're seeing, I think, across all layers, not just in social, but also in society, we're saying, okay, we want to be much more open and be able to accept those sort of, like you said, those rule of thirds. It's not just all business. It's also, you also have a personal life, and we accept that as well.
Well, I think that's a culture change that takes place with the people that are consuming the content, the new type of content that's coming out from a brand that has a human element, the shareology, if you will, and then brand, the culture of the brand, and this is what all the evangelists within the digital space consistently talk about, is helping brands know what they don't know about what they need to know as far as culture shift is concerned, because it all starts internally. But transparency is one of the first things I've learned when I launched my brand 5.5 years ago, and I think it was from Gary Vee, and one of my favorite quotes ever. He said, authenticity trumps likability. And I think that's really accurate. And bottom line is, who you are in business is who you are in real life. The silos have now been dropped, and you can have 2 Facebook pages. But who is it? Eric Qualman. His book is "What Happens in Vegas Stays on YouTube," and I think that's that is the reality of where it's at. I try to cover every topic. I'm independent, so I'm not a right wing or left wing. I vote for the things that are important to me and I feel are beneficial when it comes down to voting day. So I can never go one specific direction. But I sure do have a great time sharing, the fat Jews content on, Obama with a fake man bun, and poking in Donald Trump with all kinds of different. I like the funny and the comedy aspect of it. The religious part, I'm not religious. I love Jesus, but I cuss a lot. And, that's just kind of how I roll and portray. But, for instance, that Starbucks cup. Now we've all found out that obviously Starbucks was behind that brilliant campaign. Well done. But I originally thought it was some old school, radical, hardcore conservative Christian that had actually done that, right? And that taken place. And my message was, time out. Okay, this is not like any. This is anywhere near generalizing, the Christian denomination in general. So, of course, I feel it's my responsibility to at least create a conversation in defense of that. Not really defending it, but in the event that was the case, I feel kind of stupid now. I mean, the post had a lot of engagement on it, but after finding out Starbucks was behind it, I mean, that's a total win, and I find some comedy with all that. But to Brian's point, I think there's three types of individuals, and the third type is really going to phase themselves out. The type that just is transparent and it has a filter, but is transparent and kind of covers all the cases. Kind of how I roll. And they got guys like Brian that is probably one of the most transparent individuals I know, but he just chooses to not discuss specific things like religion and politics because it is true. They are not never-ending conversations and they are personal decisions. And then there's that third category where you just try to hide everything and you put on this great image of who you think you are, and then you actually meet someone in person and you better understand what's really going on. And I think that last category will phase themselves out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, hey Chris, thanks so much for jumping in, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to
cheers, man.
Likewise. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. I appreciate you sticking around for a few extra minutes here, so we can rock and roll here. We've had a ton of people come through. It looks like almost close to 400 have been through here the past hour. So you are phenomenal PR for a Blab show, Bryan Kramer.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for thanks for carving out some time and being on. And I think I was on your podcast. I think it was some point last year. So again, our community just continues to support each other. And I think that's really the coolest part of our, having our tribe of, the digital space is that, if you're ever in Miami, for a fact who you're calling. And if I'm ever in your area, I definitely want to ride in that Tesla based on what Mr. Ted Rubin has filled me in on.
Man, I'd love to give you a ride. Come on out. When are you coming out?
I don't know. I've got it on the agenda this year. I have no idea what, or for next year, this year and next year. But I'm going to be in California for sure in February. So maybe we'll be able to make it happen. Then I never make it up to San Francisco. It seems like all my gigs are in New York or San Diego. I mean, there are worse things, right?
Well, it's got if this helps, it has auto driving now, so it'll autopilot. So you can sit in the you can sit in the driver's seat and not touch the wheel or the gas or the brake, and it'll take you from all the way down the highway on turns and twists and all that kind of stuff, and it's pretty damn cool. So you and I can have a conversation.
Have you tried the feature out?
Oh yeah, I use it all the time. It's really nice. It's not good yet on city streets. I think unless you're going down like a main road for like 10 minutes.
Sure.
But if you're as long as you don't have to turn, it's fine. But it will go like from one lane to the next. So if you put your blinker on, it'll move over lanes by itself. It'll slow down. It'll speed up. It'll make sure that you're within a certain distance from the next car. So it's pretty damn cool. You would love it.
I bet. I can't wait to get one. I see more and more of them popping up, especially down here in Miami. I see them popping up all over the place here. So I look forward to it. But hey, Bryan, thanks again, brother. I appreciate you, man. I will send you my address. I'm definitely going to read. I'm not a reader, but I'm going to read the 4-Hour Work Week based on your strong recommendation on there.
Send me your address, dude.
I most definitely am. Friends, if you are just joining us, maybe you're listening to a replay later on, maybe sometime next year, chat with my good friend Bryan Kramer. Make sure you're following him on Twitter at Bryan Kramer. He wrote the book Shareology, How Sharing is Powering the Human Economy, and really helps give you a deep dive into understanding what's really going on with this whole social thing in 2015. Thanks again, BK. I appreciate you, brother. Come back soon, will you? Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. I will. Man, later on, dude. Well, that does it for this episode of the Social Media Sucks Show. That was a great conversation. And again, big thanks to my friend Bryan Kramer for joining me today. Make sure you pick up his book, Shareology, wherever books are sold. Well, I'm Sebastian Rusk, and we're signing off here from the Social Media Sucks Show studio here in beautiful, hot Miami. We'll see you next time.